In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I've noticed, some of the benefits I've noticed from consistently fasting for 16 to 18 hours a day, sometimes 20, but around that range for the past month or so. So I decided to do this just because it's quite convenient for me. It works. I feel very energized, which is something I'm going to get into, but it's very convenient for me because I find it difficult to space food out throughout the day. I don't know if you guys will be able to relate to this, but you know, when you have like breakfast, lunch and dinner, it's quite hard to find the time to prepare that food, to eat that food, when you've still got other stuff that you need to do, you know, when you have quite a disciplined structure to how you have your days play out and what you need to do. You have priorities, you have things you're doing. So it's hard to fit it in really. And so that's the first reason why I really started doing it. But the second reason why I started doing it is because I realized and I noticed that when I was fasting, I felt so much more energized, alert and focused. And I think this is because of something primal about fasting, something that it does to our body, which obviously affects our mind and affects our ability to focus and pay attention and be energized and give our full attention, energy and focus to a specific thing. A lot of people put it down to distractions and stuff like that, but think about it this way. When you're on a full belly, when you have a full belly, when you have food in your stomach, when you are satiated, are you going to have as much motivation, as much desire and as much drive to be as competent and as effective and as focused as you can be? Probably not, right? Because your system's in a good spot. It doesn't feel any urgency, any need to move, to act, to hunt, to find something to eat. So if we look at this through a primal lens and through an evolutionary lens, it's easy to see why when we are fasting, we tend to be a bit snappier. We tend to be a bit more focused. We tend to pay a bit more attention. And this is one thing that you can do to instantly make yourself more focused and more driven. It's fast. And also it encourages discipline because it's not easy to do. It's not, and it does get easier with time, and it is the most difficult at the beginning, as are most things. But recently I haven't found it a struggle at all because it's just my new mode of being, you know. I've been doing it for a month, which is about the amount of time that it takes for a new habit to settle in. And I really feel that, and my body is reaping the benefits, you know. I wake up hungry, I wake up with fuel inside of me that carries me through the day with purpose and with focus, and I think that that's an amazing thing. So that's one thing that I've certainly noticed. I don't know the science behind it, or you know, the specific details, or you know, the data to back it up, but it's certainly something that I've experienced with fasting. Also, my immune system seems to be a lot better. I'm getting ill a lot less, feeling a lot better just day to day. And my discipline has risen spectacularly, tremendously. It's been one of the best things about this whole process, and it's been one of the best benefits of fasting. You know, I was recently reading Plato's Republic, which is a great book, and he talks about how there are kind of like 3 levels of mind, 3 states within all individuals and within states themselves, within countries, within political parties, whatever you want to say. There are 3 states. And he breaks it down to the reasoning impulse, like the instinct to reason, logic. Then we have appetite, which is like our natural desires, like eating, sleeping, drinking, things like that. I guess sex would fall into that category as well, although it's far less pronounced because it's not an immediate desire that needs to be fulfilled. It is something that we all want, something we all crave from time to time, but it's not as strong as, you know, hunger or thirst or anything like that. And then we have spirit, which he puts down to like the energy that you bring to something, right? Like the energy that you either pursue a desire with or you avoid a desire with. It's like kind of like indignation and just passionate conviction, and that comes through spirit. And so what you're doing, and Plato says this, when you fast, is you're putting reason above all else. Then you're putting spirit, then you're putting appetite at the bottom, right? Which is, I think, the best order that we can possibly orient ourselves and our inner states in. Because obviously reason should be our guiding principle. Our spirit should defend and pursue reason relentlessly. And then our appetite should be subordinate and subservient to our reason and to our spirit. And that's what fasting allows you to do, you know. Eating, wanting to eat, especially when you have done a significant period of time without any food at all and just water, is a massively attracting thing. You know, you really want to do it, but you say to yourself, no, I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I know that the benefits that lie on the other side of me continuing this fast are worth the discomfort. And this links into Nietzsche's idea of he who has a why strong enough can bear almost anyhow. With purpose, with a reason, we can endure nearly anything. And this is what Viktor Frankl also talks about in Man's Search for Meaning. You know, Holocaust survivors, the ones who fared the best under those terrible circumstances, were those who gave their suffering a purpose. They gave it a meaning. And Carl Jung also says, man can bear anything but a meaningless life. And so it all kind of interlinks, all this psychological knowledge interlinks into the fact that difficulty is not the problem. The problem is our lack of purpose for enduring such difficulty. And so what you have to do, if you have a really hard time breaking a habit or sticking to a habit, you need to reinforce its purpose, its meaning, the value of it in your mind, in your belief system, because that is what is going to carry you through the discomfort. That is what is going to get you to the other side, where the benefits lie. But anything worthwhile is difficult, and so fasting, it is difficult, but you adjust over time and you adapt to what you force your body to do, and this is what we have the power to do. We don't have to just simply obey what our bodies are telling us to do, what our appetite wants. We can actually say, no, actually, this is not reasonable. I have a purpose for doing this, my reasoning for doing this, practical reasoning, benefits, the value of the thing that you're doing. And so you are willing to endure that difficulty in order to get there, which is amazing. And you're not going to get there if you don't have a reason to get there, right? So everything should be guided by reason, and appetite should be at the bottom, because we have the capability as human beings to control our impulses and our instincts. And that is what differentiates us from the other animals. They are almost slaves to their impulses. And although there are many human beings that would fit into that category, we do have the capability to not. And that is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on what is spectacular, unique, and brilliant about the human being, and honoring that. And that is what we do when we put reason as our guiding principle. And I've also noticed as well that when I do eat food, I'm so much more appreciative of the food that I'm eating. I'm able to be present while I'm eating the food, and I'm able to fully enjoy it. You know, I'm not just grinding it down or whatever, because that's what happens when you go on a bulk. And that's why I've always found bulking so difficult. Cutting weight is no problem for me. I can lean down like it's nobody's business, like it's not even difficult. But it is difficult, but it's a lot easier, in my opinion, than bulking, because you have to force yourself to eat when you really don't want to. So you're going against your appetite, but once again, your reason is guiding you, right? Because your reason for doing it is you want to put on muscle, you want to put on weight, you want to get bigger. So you know you're going to have to force feed yourself, and you're going to have to eat more than you'd really like to, which can be really frustrating. And that's why when you do cut down, you're still doing it for a reason, because you want to get leaner, because you want to get slimmer. But I find it easier because you're able to say no to your appetite in the sense of restraining, rather than saying no to your appetite in terms of actually going beyond it. You know, like when your appetite is telling you, oh, you should eat because you haven't eaten in a certain amount of time, then obviously that's a reasonable desire. But pushing that down, in my opinion, is a little bit easier than pushing down the desire not to eat, because you genuinely don't want to eat, but you have to put your reason above it and say, well, I have to eat anyway. I don't know if that made any sense. That sounded quite technical, but hopefully you guys were able to understand that. So yeah, my discipline has improved massively. My focus has improved massively. And my presence has also improved a lot as well, because I feel like when you're running on an empty tank, you're just a lot more vigilant. And that's another benefit that I've really been the recipient of during this whole process. Now, the most important question of this video, arguably, is, am I going to continue this practice? The answer to that is yes. It's an overwhelming yes, because I've experienced the benefits of it. You know, although I can't outline them scientifically with all the data, I've personally experienced the benefits. So that is more than enough conviction to prove to me, more than enough evidence, at least to me, and hopefully to you, because you're just taking my word, but there's plenty of other testimonies out there to the benefits of fasting. I think it just improves long-term health. I really do. And, you know, maybe more data, more studying, and more science needs to be done on this subject, but I'm here to give my personal experience on what I've discovered upon fasting for 16 to 18 hours a day for about a month. And I 100% plan to continue this practice. And I hope that this video has potentially convinced you to take this practice up as well. Because trust me, you won't regret it. It really is a game changer. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like and subscribe and turn notifications on so that you never miss another video like this from me. Also, make sure you share this video with someone you think might need to hear this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.